Hello everybody, welcome to Between the Covers. My name is Bradley Shaw. Today I'm talking to author A Farrell, who's author of Perfectly Me, a beautiful children's book designed about a young girl journey. And I'm going to let Kelly tell you all about it. Hello Kelly, how are you?
Well, thanks, and yourself?
I'm really good, thank you. And you look lovely, and everyone watching today is very excited about your new book coming out, Perfectly Me. So please tell us all about it.
Well, Perfectly Me is a beautiful young children's book for young people, and it's all about a little girl who, with her father, goes through a journey of learning how to acknowledge and accept and work through her own feelings through either just acceptance or through affirmation. I find affirmations a very powerful way to deal with how one is feeling, and I think it's an art to learn from a very young age. I can go into a little bit later on sort of why I've wrote this book in the way that I've written it, but it's a very powerful lesson for young people, and it's also a really beautiful relationship between a father and a daughter about how they can tap into a young person's emotions as well.
Wonderful. And tell me, the young character's name is Olivia.
Correct, Olivia.
And again, was this written about personal experiences, either through your own or perhaps working with children or seeing children in these moments when they do have struggle with this learning cycle of understanding emotional effects, I guess, of being a child?
Absolutely. Just in a quick reflection to my first book, I'm a Boy, Oh Yes I Am, I wrote that book because I identified young boys can be somewhat shamed or punished even for expressing themselves through play, whether it's dress-ups or painting their nails. And I wrote that book to try and dissolve that gender stereotyping of boys have to be tough or strong or not showing any sign of weakness. So this is sort of jumping on the other side where young girls and young boys, but it's primarily young girls, can be shamed or punished also for big emotions. As a parent, I've identified through my daughter, she's a little firecracker jagger, big emotions. And there's a lot of things on social media at the moment going around about how parents can handle these emotions, and we're dealing with them very differently these days than we were back when we were kids. We're sort of veering away from that harsh punishment and more using how we talk with our children to help them deal with these big emotions. So as they develop, they're learning how to handle them. So Olivia goes through this journey of one day she wakes up feeling really happy. The next day she wakes up and she just feels a bit blah, doesn't want to play, doesn't feel like she did yesterday. So she asks her Dad, what's going on? Why don't I feel like I did yesterday? And he teaches her through emotion how to either accept or acknowledge or work through them using affirmation and looking in the mirror and saying, it doesn't matter how I feel. This is just who I am. And it doesn't matter what people think or say. It's okay. And that's what I want to teach young people and parents, that it's just let them be with their feelings, let them work through it, let them learn. And that's what I love about the relationship between Olivia and her father, is the dad is helping her through it and teaching her. It's about us as parents teaching our children to be at one with their emotions.
And do you think, and just out of being devil's advocate on that, do you think, like, when you talk about the parents being aware and able as well, do you think the parenting structure allows parents to have the intellectual ability to emotionally support children? Because some of our parents aren't always ready for children themselves, aren't ready for, our society isn't ready and geared sometimes for that early childhood presence in young marriages. This is very political, so I'm not trying to veer off track, but I'm just saying this book has that structure where, as you said, parents can learn that the children it's not always about the parent as well. It's about the child having their day,
100%.
Yeah, did you find that?
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong way of parenting.
No.
But I find that every parent is going to parent in a different way, and how they parent is going to be the right way. But what I've noticed is through our society, people are really trying to handle young people's emotions in a different way, because children are sponges. For example, if my daughter was to play up on me like she does all the time, and my God, I snap all the time. Well, I'm a human being. I snap. I've got a newborn.
Well, we all do.
Well, it's hard. It's hard work.
Yeah.
But if I was to smack her because she's hit me, what am I teaching her? When you're angry, it's okay to hit.
Yeah.
You know, so I know some people are okay with smacking, and if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But I have found through patience and communication, my daughter is starting to understand how she feels, and she's starting to honor and accept her emotions. If she doesn't want to give me a kiss and a cuddle, she doesn't have to. I'm not going to force her. If she's having a big tantrum, I sit with her and just say, it's okay. These are big feelings. What you're feeling, you are frustrated, you know, and she's starting to learn about them, and she's actually starting to be able to self-regulate rather than feel shamed or isolated because she's been naughty. Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
We as adults, could you imagine going through massive, you know, feeling a lot of anxiety, and then your family turning around saying, go sit over there. You know, we don't want to sit to you until you feel better. You want someone to come and cuddle you and go, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? So
absolutely.
why are we treating children differently?
Yeah, children are always excluded for that emotional content, and they don't understand it, so it's a bad thing because they are punished sometimes for expressing their emotions. They're also nullified. Most parents try to nullify them by just sitting them in front of an iPad, which has become unfortunately more predominant. And that's where I think this book's so important, to not dismiss these emotions and dismiss this importance of a child's development, but actually address it and actually put it in front of them, in front of a parent's mindset, and say, you know what, you can talk to your children. You don't have to, you don't have to come home from work and have work all the time on your brain. You can let it go. You can be present with your children. And that's something I think culturally we could really develop a better understanding
Absolutely.
of. This book's a great book for it.
They're young, independent people too. They're just a lot smaller than us. And it's up to us to teach them rather than punish them for feelings that they haven't yet learned about. And feelings are a big, overwhelming thing to go through for anyone. Yeah. So I actually take a lot of pride in trying to be patient with my daughter. And if I snap, like I said, I'm human, and, you know, I've got a very short fuse. I will apologize to her. So in that, I'm teaching her to also say, oh, you know what, it's okay to be sorry or accept that I've done something wrong, but we're all imperfect humans. But being imperfect, we are perfect.
Yeah, and we never gave, and I think we protected children earlier when we were parents. You know, we didn't let them, we wanted them to be children. There's a certain intelligence that children have to develop younger, and this book helps them understand that development. But in our culture now, we are starting to give children more, like we're getting younger children who are smarter, learning more quickly, learning and adapting to things more quickly, which is good and bad. It has a balancing act. And I think the parents have to have a really key part in that as well, as you say. So have you had people's thoughts put through this when you were writing it? Did you get interpreted, like you've obviously a young mum, did you have other friends that helped write this book with you or gave you that essence?
Not really. It more came from my own personal experiences, but I have a few friends have read this book and they absolutely adore it. My twin nieces, one of them whose name is Olivia, they absolutely adored it, and they were able to then talk about their feelings with their mum and their dad and be able to identify and actually know that it's okay to feel something. It's okay to have a bad day. It doesn't mean that the rest of your day has to be bad. Do you understand what I mean? And it's also helping the parents too. A friend of mine who has a very fiery young daughter as well said that it's actually helped her to go, oh, hold on a minute, I have bad days as well. It's okay for her to have a bad day. Let's help her through it so it doesn't ruin the rest of her day or feel like I'm going to get cranky at her for.
Absolutely. And this book too, because it's a children's book, it's so delicate in its presentation as well. Olivia being so earnest and honest in herself, the way it's written and showcased, it shows her, it's a book you can really get kids to read over. So when they are in those moments, you can go back to it and you can remember where, and then you go to that page and you can talk about that emotion they're having that day. Because you've structured it in a way in a story that you're not just dictating or narrating an experience, an event. It's actually an ongoing process, and they can keep reading this book, which is wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. And I really want to talk about a metaphor that you will find throughout the entire book, and it's a really empowering metaphor that young girls may not, or young children may not understand, but the parents can talk them through it on how simple it is to change your attitude towards a feeling if you're uncomfortable with a feeling. Olivia goes through all these emotions with her dad, but she decides to just put her positive knickers on every day. So I use putting your knickers on, or you can talk about anything. Put your shirt on, put your socks on, put your shoes on, put a different attitude on. If you don't like how you're feeling, it's okay to change how you feel, or take ownership, or take control. Sometimes it might be harder than others, but we all have days where it's hard to get out of bed and get dressed and that sort of thing. But little girls, they love to get dressed themselves. Little boys love to do it themselves. My daughter every day, Jaggy do, Jaggy do. Okay. Well, Jaggy can also take control of her feelings too. So if you're having a bad day, get up, put your positive knickers on and have a good day. It's that easy. We can move through these feelings and emotions, and I think that's what's so empowering about taking ownership over your feelings through affirmation is it's that simple as getting dressed. And it's a lesson that our young people need to learn, that it's just as easy as every other task.
Absolutely. I mean, but that's what, like if you look at all the greats, all the successful people, you know, most of them have some kind of token or some kind of habit or some kind of element that has always enforced them being the people they are. So like sports people will wear particular, you know, jocks or particular numbers, or you'll have, you know, celebrities wearing certain outfits or certain things, or successful business people will always wear a red tie. So there's always the dynamics of fortune or perception that they need to encourage themselves. And the kids can accept that as they're younger. And it can also be like, if you think back to Charlie Brown as one as an example, if you remember the story, Linus used to carry that blanket everywhere. You know, and that was his security blanket. And again, moving that away from children is important, because you can't always have a blanket around. But but it's that
emotions are transient, and they need to learn that it's just as simple as any other task. And if you can make the connection between the emotional and physical attitudes or actions, they actually can take control, because it's overwhelming for them. Yesterday, my daughter woke up and she was just crying, and she didn't know why. She doesn't understand. So I sat with her and I said, okay, let's talk about it. Let's feel it. Now, would you like to put your knickers on? Yeah, Jackie do. And so she puts it on, and then she runs away, no worries, and she realizes her day can go on. So if you can make the connection between the emotional and the physical, although very, very different, there is an association there. Is that they have
black
control.
And white. It is black and white with kids. They're very much, I'm unhappy and it's a moment, and it's a disaster for the world. And then an hour later, they're happy and they've forgotten they were angry. So, you know, but it's also important too, like in this book, and how you've structured the issue, I guess, of development, in giving children the understanding of their emotional content. Because, and I think it's good you picked young girls, and we've worked on boys, and I'm a boy, yes I am. But in this book, working with young girls, I think they're the ones, and I'm saying this from a male perspective, and I mean no offense to anyone, but I believe in my own understanding, women and young girls will have a different course of development through their life. So it's much harder for them as they grow. Their emotions are a lot higher identified, if that's a word, or as they get older, especially as they hit the 10-year-olds and the 12-year-olds and the 15-year-olds, and their emotions are able,
Well, right. as we get older, and something that I've learned is, you know, I've gone through pretty bad postnatal anxiety and depression. I know feelings, but I have sat with them and too scared to move out of them. I lost my resilience because I had not been taught it's okay to take control and move through it. So if we teach our young people that it's okay to move through these emotions, we're raising more resilient people and young adults, and they can not feel bad about that, or not be shamed for it. It's okay for them to go, this is how I'm feeling, leave me alone.
And not fall into depressions or fall into self-harm and all those things.
They can ask for help.
That's right.
They understand it's not who they are, it's just a feeling that is transient, and they can move through it if they want to.
No. And everybody watching too, by the way, sorry, this is not it's not as big a political book as we're talking about. We're talking about the impact on it on a very psychological level. But really, this is a wonderful, simplified, beautiful book of a girl's journey who walks through her day in all the emotions that a woman or girl would have. And it's just really well told. And Kelly has done a beautiful job. So I do encourage you to see this book and buy this book. It's available everywhere books are sold. One of the things we do also ask is you go to your local bookstores and ask them to order it or support them, because we need to support our local bookstore businesses, but it is available online as well. So Kelly, let's get back to that. We'll try and soften the politics of this this evolution for children.
Cool. It's mystical. It's a beautiful young book, and you will notice Olivia, she's a bit dirty, her hair's messy. She's like every little girl out there. You can't keep it clean. I don't know how parents keep kids clean. I can't keep my kids clean. But that's how I wanted Olivia to be portrayed, is that they're kids. They're kids, and they just want to have fun, and it's very, very beautiful.
Yeah, and you feel that the children are going to embrace this and understand this as well, and like, because there is that message of being self-aware, and I agree with you. I think it's something that the children need to understand and can benefit them long term. So I hope they will. So tell us, what has the experience been like from your first book through becoming that new author and putting the first stamp out in the market with I'm a Boy, Yes I Am, to now also going through motherhood again while that was happening. And just recently, for everybody watching, Kelly has had a beautiful young boy recently. What was his name again, Dianne? I forgot.
Koa.
Koa.
Yep, Koa.
That's a beautiful name. So yes, Koa's come to the world, and in that time, Kelly's also perfectly me. So tell us a little more, Kelly, about your own personal experiences as a writer and as now a mother again. How's it been for you this last 12 months?
It's been incredible. Publishing I'm a Boy, Yes I Am was overwhelming in a very good sense. It just felt, those feelings where it's like, is this happening? Is this real? That's what it felt like for me. I had dreamt of publishing a book ever since I was a little girl, and when I found my way through the children's book, actually holding it in my hand and knowing that, or even reading the reviews, I'm still reading reviews, and they're just overwhelming, knowing that my book is making a change out in a home to people that I've never met. And I feel connected to those families. I've had people reach out over social media and say, thank you for writing this book. I had I think he's in his mid-20s from over in the UK say, I bought this book because this is a book I needed when I was young. Thank you.
Good.
And so the book that I wrote the books that I write aren't just, although they're children's book, they've got a very powerful message that is for all ages. And it's just incredible to have been able to actually achieve that. And obviously being a new mum makes it even just that little bit more special, because I know that I'm doing my part to raise my children in a world that I believe will be safer by these books being out in the world. And there needs to be more books like this. If people have ideas or have a message, go for it. Write something. Do what you can to get that message out in the world. I love to write, so writing a book was my way of doing that.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful book. Both of them are. And as I said, both of them are available everywhere books are sold. But Kelly, thank you so much for your time today. It's been wonderful talking to you again. But yes, we're going to see you around the traps, I'm sure, at some book signings and some events. And everybody out coming up in August, you will be able to meet Kelly in person in Melbourne at the symposium, 1st of August. Check out our website for details. She'll be one of the readers and signers and authors there of the day. But thank you, Kelly, so much for your time. And yeah, this is going to be a great success for you, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all your hard work on the other side of the book that people don't see. Shoreline have done an incredible job with both my books. So thank you, Bradley.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for watching and supporting Australian authors. Have a great day. And yeah, we'll talk again, Kelly. Be well. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.